Sorry, man. I ran into a buzzsaw today
It's all right.
at work, and I'm just trying to like unplug my mind right now.
Well, I think
Rum will help.
I think Chris also ran into a cutting instrument as well today.
What happened to you?
Tried to fillet half my finger off.
Really?
Yep. Actually, one of my customers jinxed me the other day. They were like, hey, they saw me filleting fish, and I'm pretty quick, and they're like, when's the last time you cut yourself? I'm like, it's been forever. I'm like, I'm pretty good, whatever. And today, I had these kids, and they just had me going all over the place, and they were picking pieces up, throwing them, feeding the catfish and the jacks at the dock, and I was like paying attention, and I said, don't do that, and yeah.
Really?
Yeah, just cut the tip off. Don't worry about it. Grow
Damn
back.
kids. You did the tip did come off?
Just the tip.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's nice chunk. I went.
Really?
And, it was like flapped over, and I just went and trimmed it off because I didn't want to deal with the flap.
Right.
So
Because you're a certified medic.
I am.
So, all right, we're pouring some Pilar here because it's Monday afternoon and Monday's over.
Mm-hmm.
We're celebrating the fact that Monday's over.
We're celebrating the fact that Monday's over for sure.
Yep. And I can tell you, though, I started the day off on the right foot today because I went down to, by the way, welcome to the Connected by Water podcast presented by Joey Cardi Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram and fueled by Papa's Pilar Rum. We remind you never to be a spectator. I am your host, Dennis Friel, and we are with our regular guest, my good pal. I always love when my good pal comes on, Chris Lemieux.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me once
Cheers.
again. Cheers.
This is one of those episodes where I'm just like, aha, cool. Chris is coming in. I don't have to research anything or do anything ahead of time, and we'll just hang out, right?
Yep.
So I go down to downtown Fort Lauderdale today in Las Olas because my good buddies who invented the Clean Waterways contraption, I did a Facebook Live on it like earlier today. So they invented this revolutionary concept to clean the intercoastal, right? So they got this big, it looks like, something like the Nutty Professor would make, it's like all these big tanks and contraptions and
Steam
pipes and
pump.
everything like that. And yeah, and it's cleaning up all the algae and all when the sewer lines break and all the literally crap that was left over.
Yeah.
So it's basically like they're filtering it out and cleaning up the waterways.
Where
So
they
you got to
putting
get rid of it.
Yeah, where are they putting that contraption?
So it's on a barge.
Okay.
And they got like these 3 tanks on each barge, and it's City of Fort Lauderdale sanctioned. They announced it with the mayor, came out last Thursday, and today was the first day that they turned it on and started operating. So it was cool. Channel 10 was there, and
nice.
And it's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
It's going to be a big deal. So it's kind of, I guess you could say it's kind of like we hate that it had to come to this.
Yeah.
But it's pretty cool that, John Lose and Dr. Charlie Gregory and Miles Foreman and Mike Lambrix, who's the Broward chapter president of the CCA, all got together and started this company. It's Florida native based, boom, so it's kind of like taking care of home kind of thing.
Very cool.
Yeah, so it remains to be seen how successful it will be, but based upon the data so far and the testing that's happened and everything, it's going to work.
It's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, it's definitely a step in the right direction. So that's how I started my day.
Need to bring one to Boynton.
Well, that's the plan is that.
Eventually
the plan
get to
is
St.
everywhere.
Lucie where all that bad algae is and everything else, and that'd be awesome.
Yeah, and then who knows? Maybe it'll work in place like a Flint, Michigan scenario where the water's contaminated, stuff like that. So they are reducing toxins and by the parts per million or whatever. I don't know. I'm not a scientist.
Yeah,
but it works and it cleans the water.
Cool.
So so that's how I started my day.
I like it.
Yep. And then I've been, I went down to the Keys last week. Went fishing with Harris.
Oh, nice.
And we caught some Mahi, which I want to talk to you about because of the stuff that happened with Art. I want to talk about that today. And then it was Father's Day this past weekend, so happy Father's Day to all the dads out there.
Absolutely.
And it was my wife's birthday, and we ran down the Island Router for the day, and we had a great, back and forth to the Keys a couple times this week for me. But
awesome.
Yeah, and then today, Back to reality.
Cheers
Back
to
to
that.
reality.
Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm only a dog dad, so that kind of counts,
Counts
right?
in my book. Yes, and I also want to remind people, too, send in your questions, and you can win this awesome T-shirt, right? We do send them out. We do get them to people. So, yeah. Chris Lemieux, how are you doing?
Living the dream.
Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah.
Busy.
So tell me all about that. What's new?
The charter business is, I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, I feel like people are, getting the vaccine and getting comfortable with getting back out in the world. And, I mean, it's crazy. I've been turning down charters every day, 2 to 3 a day. People
Really?
calling me for the upcoming weeks, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
Booked, so, which is good, no complaints on that end. Everybody, you kind of like gripe a little bit when you're really busy because you have no life really. You just work all day long. But at the other end, you're like, well, I can't really complain because I'm doing well and, business is good. So,
yeah, I mean, people say all that like, oh, good problem to have. But when you're like in the middle of your busy time, you're just like,
yeah,
it's still hard work, man.
Yeah.
So it's tough to handle
it is.
sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah.
A guy like me, you just look at the weather app and you're like, man, when's that windy day coming when I could just sleep in? You don't have to wake up at 4:30 or 5 to get the, load 200 pounds of ice and everything else like that. But no complaints. I have some great regular customers that have been going out fishing with me lately. Some new customers that I've recently gotten. It's been good.
Can we, speaking of customers, can we get a shout out to Ulf?
Yeah, shout out to Ulf.
He's
the
man.
Viking.
Yeah.
That's what Mike Landris calls him, the Viking.
When's he coming back?
Well, I think he messaged me last time. I believe he's gotten his second vaccine, and I know they were really, really tight in Sweden there. So he's planning. I guess he's pretty much semi-retired at this point. And he keeps messaging me, plan this, plan that. We're going sword fishing every day. We're going Bahamas trips. We're doing it. Yeah, he's like,
make up for lost time.
Yeah, he is. So he's like, we're gonna plan the most epic Bahamas trip ever. I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. So we're talking about our good friend Ulf and his wife Elena from the Siren Run.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
So they're good. They're good people.
Yep.
But yeah, that's been it. Just been really busy. Actually started a cool kids fishing camp this week. First day today. First injury of the fishing camp.
So that was from the fishing camp?
Well, kind of yes and no. I mean, obviously, I was the guy with the knife in my hand, but you know how kids are. When I throw carcasses in, the kids love seeing the catfish and the jacks and everything else boiling, and they were taking the scraps, cleaning the fish at the end of the day, and they were throwing it. But kids are excited, which I understand, and they're reaching around, grabbing them. Like, guys, don't reach around the knife. I don't want to slip and cut you or whatever. You're responsible for people's kids.
Kids have a bad habit of doing that when you're cutting. They'll just be like, oh, there it is. Yeah. They don't realize.
So I was
live
like,
knife.
So I see a little hand coming, and I'm like, whoa, and I wasn't paying attention. I just kept cutting, and I would and cut the tip of my thumb off. So, I mean, this looks a little bit, but I couldn't get it stopped bleeding all afternoon, so I just finally wrapped it up like crazy, and it stopped bleeding. I mean, it's probably bleeding under there somewhere, but I'll live. It's not the first time I've got cut. It won't probably be the last, but
I bet.
Like I said, I had a charter customer last week literally say to me, oh, when's the last time you cut yourself? I'm like, well, now you say that, probably tomorrow, and look, a week later I cut myself. So
that happened actually to Charlie Gregory, Dr. Gregory, this morning when I showed up at the barge.
Really?
He was going to be there. He was supposed to be the first one there. And so I was getting there a little early, and I'm like, where's Dr. Gregory? And he's like, oh, he cut his hand like really good. He had to go rush to the hospital.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, all right. On day one.
Monday.
Yeah. The scientist cuts himself.
That's it.
So, yeah. So, get well soon, Dr. Gregory.
That's it.
Yeah. So, what else is going on? You been hunting? Not at all now. Huh?
No, because it's not really that time of year. Now's the time that we're going to start heading back to the property where we hunt in Georgia. We're going to start getting the food plots ready, start putting cameras out, start dumping a bunch of corn, just getting ready.
Yeah.
Getting ourselves excited for when it starts. My buddy just put in for a bunch of local quota hunts in South Florida that I slipped my mind to do, and I didn't get any local quota hunts. But he got 2 tags, so I'm gonna probably go with him up in Jupiter, Dupuis, and all that area. There's some really decent hunting. I mean, it's swampy type stuff, but
yeah,
any type of hunting you can do around here is good.
Tough in Florida in
Yeah,
the
it's
summer,
tough.
man. It gets hot.
Very hot. Very hot.
I mean,
So-
I'm not a hunter, but I mean, I know gator hunting gets that way.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And then I was talking to Van Dalen about that too, and he's like, "Man, I just don't like hunting in Florida anymore. He
Yeah.
just doesn't want to deal with it."
hot and buggy.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I am going to be hunting for the first time this year
Yeah.
up in Tennessee.
Awesome.
Yeah, in November, I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Deer?
Mhm.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I like it.
I'll be freezing my tail off and
It's not that bad.
whatever.
You just bundle up. I'll let you borrow my heated insoles. That's where the trick is.
Really?
Yep. My wife bought them for me. You press a button, you're like, boop. Press the number 1 button, your feet
Press
get
a
a little
button?
warm. They start getting a little cold again. You press number 2 button, and it just starts heating up even more. You're like, oh,
Come
yeah.
on.
Nice and toasty.
Really?
Worth every penny.
Like heated socks?
They're heated insoles. They like go in the back. There's a little battery and that pulls out of the back of the thing, and you put them in your boots, and they're heated insoles. They work pretty good.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. Listen, the worst part about sitting in a stand or hunting is your feet and hands being cold. Everything else, buy yourself those hot hands. Those
Right.
things, a little packs. You throw them in your jacket. They're nice. You just put your hands.
I
nice and
survive
toasty.
with that through
Yeah.
hunting season.
Oh yeah,
That's how
Yeah, that's right. You're
Yeah.
a hunter.
I keep tons of them
yeah. Hot hands right
boxes
in your
of 'em.
thing. Yep.
for real.
Yep. Put them in your jacket, nice and cozy.
What's the biggest deer you ever caught, Justin?
Oh, biggest deer I ever shot.
Or
Eight
caught?
point.
I was gonna say, where you catch a deer? He's a
I'm gonna go catch me
he's
a
a
deer.
badass.
Yeah. I've definitely caught a hog. I'll tell
Yeah?
you that.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
With with the help of some Dogo Argentinos. You know,
Yeah.
the dogs.
The
definitely
dogs.
help.
Yeah, the dogs help.
But
Yeah.
down in South Texas, we use them we get them with a knife.
Mhm.
So we call it catching a hog down there.
Yeah.
We do call it that.
I think Channing Crowder does that when
There's a lot of guys
they
down
just
here.
they go hog hunting.
Mhm.
They wrestle them to the ground and
Yeah,
Yeah.
they go with
Yeah.
their buggies and stuff and
Yeah.
let the dogs loose. And then when they hear the dogs going crazy, they have trackers on them most of the time so they
Yep.
can find them. And they just
Kevlar.
go. Yep.
Mm-hmm. They have Kevlar on
Crazy.
the neck, Kevlar on
You
the
gonna do that?
Snake infested. I've done it before. It's fun.
Yeah.
Really?
But you're walking in swampy.
wrestling
You're
hogs?
like, oh, yeah. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to go with Stan and go kill a hog at his property. He's got a ton of them.
year round.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta call him up.
Yeah, you should go
there.
do that.
Yeah.
We'll go one time. We'll get him because he's just had knee surgery, so he's out. He's got a
Oh,
he's
he
got
did?
a yeah, he's got a messed
Knee
up.
surgery.
He did.
Well, what's he gonna do? He's like in first place for non-pro boat or whatever.
He
or
should be
little
good
boat.
by then. It was
Yeah?
just like a meniscus thing
All right.
because he's been running my boat when I can't.
Yeah.
So I'm a captain down right now. So but he should be good in a few weeks. It
All
was
right.
just like a partial meniscus tear that he's had in the past from his football days, and he
I was gonna
re-injured
say,
it.
man, he's having a good meat season in the tournament
Yeah.
circuit there.
Yeah, he's been doing good for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And Alan's been fishing with me. We did pretty good in the first one. I think we was 7th in the first one. I couldn't fish the second one because I planned a vacation prior to knowing I was fishing the tournaments. So, but they got 7th in the second. I think we're sitting 5th for the crown right now.
Mhm.
So we just have to have a strong showing for the showdown and
Old squeegee.
be right there.
Does he
Squeegee.
still have a pink mustache?
He does not.
The deck
Last
ninja.
time I saw
Well, he had to
him,
shave it off, I guess, for med school, right?
For medic school, yeah, he shaved
Yeah.
it off. I mean, it'd be a little unprofessional. I mean, medic school is basically like a 9-month, job interview.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, because all the your instructors and stuff like that are all working for fire departments and stuff. If you just gotta come.
Oh, okay. So I remember this kid from
Gotta-
medic
yeah.
school.
He's
Bring
good.
him in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna be like, yeah, I remember this kid. He was a clown with a red mustache. But they'll probably
You sure
say
can't catch sailfish.
they'll
though.
probably say the clown part,
Yeah.
but they probably won't say the red mustache part. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
mm-hmm.
So talk to me about what's new on the water with the Mahi situation, because Art just got out of his session of regulation for the Mahis, and we're reducing the limit now,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which
Well-
I'm for, but it
Very
wasn't enough, right? So
Far
here's the
from
crappy
my
thing,
eyes.
right? So I went to click and read the details of the article. It's the Miami Herald, and I
Mhm.
gotta subscribe, so I couldn't really read the details of what the actual limits decided to be. So what was
Mhm.
it? Do you know?
So it was 60 max per boat. So
Well, that's what it was.
correct.
Yeah.
Went down to 54.
That's it.
6 fish.
That's it.
That's it. I mean, at the end of the day, what's that going to do? It wasn't a per person change. It was a per max boat change.
It's still 10 per person?
It's still 10 per person, but now you can only keep 54 max per boat.
Really?
Yeah. So this is a touchy subject. A lot of guys, listen, when you have guys like Art and I, and most of the charter boat guys that I know, we fish more than anybody. I mean, we're 200 plus days a year out there fishing. And when all of us agree to a rule change, it's pretty, there's a reason. On Saturday, I caught, I'm not exaggerating here, 50 to 80 dolphin. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Had 2 keepers.
Yeah.
I mean, there was hundreds of them around the boat. Guy was catching them off fly rod, this and that. We caught every 19.5 to 19.75 inch Mahi
we ran
there
into
was.
a school out there on Wednesday down on the island we're out of hump.
Mm-hmm.
And we left them.
Yeah.
And we caught, we didn't have a lot of fish in the boat, so we caught like a handful of them just to have some fish,
Mm-hmm.
and then we just left them.
Yeah.
And that's when I regretted not bringing my fly rod, because I was going to bring it for schoolies.
Yeah.
It's always a
No,
blast.
they're a blast with those.
Yeah.
And this guy, the guy I had on Saturday morning, it was his wife's 50th birthday. She's never caught one, and he's a big fly fisherman. He's never caught one on fly. So we caught her all she wanted for her firsts, and then he caught probably a dozen on fly. So it was good. But
I will say this: if you're learning fly rod,
mm-hmm.
that's a really, really good way to get practice in.
Yeah.
Because if you're, it's one thing to hook the fish, but it's another. Then you got to manage the fish too. So you get a lot of good.
The way they're
hits and-
acrobatic.
You get a lot of good repetition practice of managing
sure.
a fish on fly that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sketchy for me because I was like, don't hook me.
Yeah, you got to watch out.
You got to be a good fly fisherman. But, going back to the dolphin thing, I mean, it's most people don't police themselves is the problem. And the biggest argument that I read in the article and talking to Art was the North Carolina guys, and the North Carolina guys when they go in their little in their Mahi season there, if they don't come back with 60, it wasn't a successful trip. And they basically have people from all up in that area coming, and that's what they go for, meat fishing, like to catch 60 Mahi. Like at the end of the day, nobody needs 60 Mahi worth of meat. You know how much meat that is?
Especially if it's all peanuts, man.
They catch some bigger ones up north and stuff like that.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like 60
for
could
sure.
be all
Yeah.
60 peanuts.
Yeah,
from schoolies.
Yeah. I mean, I even tell my people, even when we catch them, I'll keep like 10. Even if I have 6 people on the boat, I keep like 10 fish. Like, guys, this is plenty. Like, let's just let them go. Obviously,
it's a lot of fish to cut too.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to cut that much fish. Nobody else does. Even when we just recently changed the blackfin tuna rule, I think that was one of the better things that changed. And most people that fish around here can agree with it. The blackfin tuna
I agree.
fishery in the past few years is unreal.
Yep.
I mean, there's guys, going out there catching 15, 20, 30 pounders regularly now. When I was a kid, if you caught 1 or 2, you were happy.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's regulated where you can only keep 2 per person. I mean, you'd see some charter boats come in with 30 bullet little blackfin tunas like that back before they had this regulation. Now it's only 2 per person, so at least it kind of regulates it a little bit. Certain things like that, I think, definitely make a difference. And I don't think that drastically decreasing it's going to make a difference, but maybe, even if they switch it to 8 fish per boat, but maybe make the size limit a little bigger, so they.
You mean 8 per person?
The per person, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what Art's better at that stuff with me. He knows that stuff very well.
He's got some pretty good insight on it.
Correct.
And he's not wrong.
Yeah.
For the way he wants to propose it.
Yeah.
And the problem is that when he gets inside, like all those. So the mail lady stops by. I always gotta wait to her. She's such a sweetheart. She really is, Diane. The problem is, it's like, when you're in those meetings, no one wants to listen to guys like Art.
Yeah.
They all think their science beats the experience.
Yeah.
And that's not how it is.
Yeah.
It's not the truth. And Art will tell you, he's said it on the show before, where they'll bring up, like, scientists are not in the right area for collecting the data that they're looking for.
Yeah.
They're like, if they're looking for, like kingfish data or sailfish data, like, they're not sitting in 150 to 200. They're out in, like, 400 trying to get this data. It's like, well, they're not there.
Yeah. Yep.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, I don't know. Something has to happen. I mean, now, back when I was younger, catching a 20-pound fish wasn't a big. It was nice, but it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
Now catching a dolphin over 20 is a big deal. You know.
Yeah. It used to be where you'd get your schoolies and you'd have about 4 nice weighers.
Yeah.
Also,
all mixed in. Correct.
A little tougher now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, you know, it's hard to catch a 20, 30-pounder.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there'd be little times where there's a flurry here and there, and a guy caught a 45-pounder, but not consistently like it used to be. So,
what do you think the shark play is on that comment, though?
I don't think the sharks really are affecting the dolphin and mahi, whatever, you know, that much.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're just too migratory and too offshore to even deal with that.
Right.
I don't think the sharks are messing with them too often. I mean, you'll see a silky out there. You'll see one of those white tips occasionally, but they're not sitting there being aggressive, eating them, off your line. So I don't think plays a factor too much.
I always want to bring
fishery.
it up. I always want to bring sharks up every time we talk about anything going up or down.
I don't even want to start on those things.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they've been bad this year. They're getting worse and worse and worse every year.
It's worse up here than in the Keys, I think, though.
Yeah,
it's not having as many problems down there, but and I mean, we talked about this topic to death on this show, but I think it's important to talk it to death.
Yeah.
But because nothing's really changed or getting better. I mean, you talk about, especially with the tournaments, everyone's like, "Oh, we would have won except for the 27 fish that we would have had that gotten sharked."
Yep. Everybody.
Big issue.
Yeah. Alan was telling me the last tournament they had tuna that was 25 pounds eaten, and a king that was definitely upgraded them significantly. That was eaten.
Yeah.
That would have put them in just those 2 fish there. They would have been in third place, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Maybe not top, but up there.
Yeah.
But I think that goes for a lot of boats. And people don't really realize the extent of it until they're out there doing it. Like my charters, they're that bad. I'm like, yeah, watch, you'll see.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're the ones paying to go fishing, and then they're ones putting their time and effort into it, and all of a sudden they're like, I'm like, oh, there he is, he got eaten. They're like, how do you know? I'm like, it went from fighting to just dead weight, and they're like, wow, this is like the 5th fish we got eaten. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, it's really bad, huh? I'm like, they really need to do something. Like, that's what I've been trying to say. But until you go out there firsthand and see it and see how truly bad it is,
no one wants to really believe it.
No. And I even was mutton fishing the other day, and we caught 3 nice muttons right off the bat, and all of a sudden, one of the last one we were catching, pull up, and I told the guy, just reel as fast as you can. We actually ripped the mutton out of his mouth. It was a sandbar, and he followed it all the way up to the top, and we tried to bake another drop and hooked the fish. It got eaten immediately. I'm like, let's leave. I'm not sitting here feeding mutton snapper to sandbar sharks all afternoon. You know what I mean?
Well, once they find you.
Yeah, and that was it.
You got to
so
move.
It's just bad. I don't know how to explain. I don't know what the answer is to it. Obviously.
And we're in the beginning. Everyone was trying to blame, the divers, and everyone's trying to blame, where I really think them lifting the regulations on the sandbars and stuff didn't help.
No.
Then they're trying to handcuff the longliners, and people don't understand that long lining, especially the way it's regulated now, isn't what people think it is.
Yeah.
It's nowhere near what people think it is.
Yep.
It's recreationally speaking does way more damage than the long lining does.
Oh yeah.
But,
Listen, farmers and hunters that own property go predator hunting.
Yeah.
We go and kill coyotes that are eating the baby deer and the fawns and everything else, and they're the coyotes even in Alaska. What do? They shoot wolves because the wolves are eating everything. Mm-hmm. It's the same concept. I hate to say it, but for water, you're
protecting the apex predator.
Correct. There's nothing to kill them but us, or then everybody's like, oh, let nature take its course. Well, you can't. I guess you could, but you can't we can't keep killing the stuff we're eating and not, take care of the apex a little bit. Because at the end of the day, we're the apex over the sharks. And if there's nobody killing sharks, then we're not. Guess what? They're just going to get worse and worse and worse.
Right. Yep.
And I'm not saying decimate them. That's dumb. It's that would be ridiculous.
I don't think anyone's really saying that.
No.
I don't think anyone's really, and that's kind of, hopefully we can clear that part up too, because it's hunters and fishermen that are the biggest conservationists
Mhm.
there are.
Oh, for sure.
The original conservationists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
Because we're trying to keep it for, we're trying to keep it good for ourselves and the future of the sport.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, it's you can't. The guys that are on the ground and there are the ones that see and know what's going on, right? You can't tell me you're taking a pulse if your fingers aren't on your throat,
exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So don't tell me how it's beaten
Yeah. Yeah, you can't.
unless you're touching it.
Yeah, and it's so funny the people you see comment on some of these pages and stuff when you say anything about sharks. And, it's funny on social media, somebody sit there and bash you, and I'm like, you know what, let me just click on this person's profile just to see. Middle of nowhere, Idaho, or where the heck you want, not even anywhere near ocean, correct, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can you be... you watch Shark Week once a year for a few days, and you're a professional on this.
Right. Then they'll see they'll follow the people that are swimming with the sharks and writing these big 2-paragraph long things,
so
and they got 100,000
majestic,
followers. Yeah. And they think,
majestic until they eat you.
Right.
Or they eat your 30-pound tuna that could have won you, 30 grand, or that 50-pound kingfish that,
That's where we roll the picture of Jim Rubeck crying, holding up his 50-pound king head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, man. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard to catch some of the kingfish that I've caught in the past. Like, a lot of these tournaments, I think Lance Irvine had one of these tournaments had 2 or 3 50-pounders up there in Jupiter Ledge or something. Those days are over with. If you get 1 50-pounder to the boat, you got lucky.
Young guns have been mowing them down lately.
Yeah, well, those boys have been
having
on
a
a
good
roll.
year.
They are having a really good year.
Yeah.
I mean, they won that thing 2 days in a row, and up there, the Meat Mayhem. They just won
right?
the one Slam.
Yep.
Yeah, the Clearwater one. Yeah,
Yep.
they've been crushing it this year. I always say that about tournaments. We've all had our year. If you fish them long enough, there's just years you can't do anything wrong. It's just your year. It's your time.
Just your year.
Even sailfish tournaments, I don't care what anybody says. There's always the John Lewis and this and that, and the Sandman. Sandman always is up there generally. But listen, they've had years where they're not on top either, And then there's years that, look at Art last year. Art crushed it.
You see the hat up there?
Yeah.
Right? Do you know the story behind the hat?
Nope.
All right. Well, for those of you who watch the show a lot, you might know the story of the hat. But I'm going to repeat it anyway because I'm just so darn proud of it. So at the beginning of sailfish season, Art comes in for one of the tournament talk episodes. I need a hat. Which one's the lucky one? And without hesitation, that was my last blue and white one that I had. I'm like, that one. Without a doubt, Art, that's the lucky hat. He goes, all right then. Puts it on his head. Boom, boom, starts winning. Boom, boom, boom. Oh, it must be that hat, right? So then we started posting pictures at the end of every tournament, him like going like that with the hat. So he had such a great year that for the tournament talk for the Sailfish wrap-up episode, he comes and he walks in and he throws the hat on the bar and he goes, it's retired. Sailfish season's over. He goes, it did its job. Right? And then he walks over to the hat shelf, just grabs a new one, just throws it on his head. He goes, all right, let's record the show. So I said, no, you got to sign that hat.
Yeah.
Right. So now we're going to change the sign on the front of the window that said Studio Gallery. It's going to say N Museum because Art's hat's there.
Yep. Yeah, that was it was Art. I mean, obviously Art's great. We all know that. We don't have to beat that dead horse. But the year before he didn't do that great, But last year he crushed it. It's just part of tournament fishing. A lot of these guys are like, oh, this guy, that guy. Like, yeah, but this guy, that guy, they all have their years where they either do really well or sometimes you could be sitting 5 feet from the guy next to you and they're getting piled on. You're like, how's that guy just caught 3 triples and we haven't had a bite? It's just
right.
I don't get it.
And you know what you're doing too.
Yeah.
So it's just like doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
And at this point, we're all pretty much doing the same thing. And obviously the guy driving the boat can position the baits a little different or make everything a little different, but we're all fishing at this point in the sailfish tournaments, and all these guys are, up there. We're all catching sardines. We're all catching thread fins. We're all, catching primo goggle-eyes and hand feeding them for 2-3 weeks prior to,
naming them.
Yeah, yeah. We always say it because I fished something with the Just Doing, Brett Dudas, And that new boat should be here soon. We always like, man, does it hurt your feelings when you're using your pets? You know, you've had these things for a month, and they see him coming down the dock. They're like, Papa, you know, feed me, you know. And he's got these brine shrimp, and they all have their little concoction of whatever Mahi roe and whatever they catch and to feed, you know.
You grab one out of the live well and be like, "Where are we going, Daddy? We going for a ride?"
Yeah, they're
you're going for a ride.
You're going for
a kite ride.
Yeah, pristine looking baits. So, yeah, you know, we're all doing the same thing, and just hopefully it's your time, and you're that guy, you know. It's I mean, the amount of great fishermen in South Florida and the playing field. I mean, meat fish tournaments now, everything is just like, you know, we're all.
You know what's cool about that too, is there's so many, especially for meat season. Not so much for sailfish season, because it's rougher and it's a little bit more. It's a lot more complicated of a fishing process.
And it's a different.
But the kids
money factor too.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That makes it more complicated.
Correct.
You know, you want to bring A game completely, right?
Yep.
But in the meat season and summer season down here, a lot more teams are outfitting their teams with like kid teams, right? Like the Bennett family on the Finsanity too, and the Rosado family, right? And you know, the Lacaria family, Lone Shark. Those guys are all. It's like they're going out with kid teams, and those are like dads going kid fishing team. And they're like raising their kids this way.
Yeah.
It's so great to see.
It is cool,
and that speaks volumes to like South Florida raising, like laying the foundation for the future of keeping that spirit alive. What you're talking about, yeah, it's so good. And the cool thing is too, is I think that like everywhere we go around here, there's a lot to be said for how that's bred into the culture, right? And to bring like the connected by water aspect into it, and it's just so good to see like communities when they come together and just, you know, lay the foundation of the outdoor values and what that does and gets kids off the screens, and I just wanted to at least bring that up, and because I always like to try to throw that into the show every now and then, and what the outdoors does for raising families, right? That was another big thing this weekend, like for Father's Day and my wife's birthday. It's like, well, what do we want to do? It's like, well, we got to bring the kids with us wherever we want to go. Whatever we do, we want to keep them off the screens.
Yep.
You know, and not do any of that kind of stuff.
Correct.
So.
Yeah, that's kind of my driving force for starting this little fish camp I did this year. And I was telling you earlier, like it was my first rule. The boys got on the boat this morning, and they're all like, "Oh, I'm gonna put my bag in away." Okay, it's like, "All right, everybody, put your phones in the back." They're like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, nobody's playing on your phones. You're done."
Yeah.
If you want a picture, I have my phone. But what if my mom? That's all right. If your mom really needs you, she has my number. Your dad has my number. They'll text me. They'll call me if they really need to find out what's going on.
They get so addicted.
It's crazy. I mean, we all are at some point. It's ridiculous. I catch myself doing it all the time.
You're right, and I'm glad you called me out on that. That because we all are, right? And we're all guilty of this, and we're all guilty of looking at our phones a little bit too much.
Because you have a tiny supercomputer in your hand.
Yeah, and it's a dopamine hit, and whatever science is behind all that too.
Yeah. I just get bored so easily, and I have to be doing something 24/7. I'm just like that kind of person.
Yeah.
So I'll be like not doing something for 5 minutes. Like, let's see what's on Instagram, Facebook, whatever. Just stupid stuff, you know, fishing. YouTube. There's fishing this and that, or you know, it just sucks you in, and then you realize you're like, what the hell am I doing? Like, get off.
But the more you can take them out. Like yesterday, I took my kid to the gun range for the first time because we're normally shooting outside.
Yeah.
And he wanted to go shoot, and I'm like, okay, buddy. So let me make sure the gun range. They make sure you're cool. I take a 7-year-old there. Yeah. And they were like, it was totally cool, and he was just captivated the entire time.
Yeah.
You know, I remember shooting a gun the first time when I was 6. You know, but it was out in the country. You know, and we were, you know, shooting a little 22.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little kid yesterday. I mean, he just was a tiny champ, and he's been talking about it since he woke up this morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think I was 9. The first time I shot my dad's 22.
So,
yeah.
I was pretty young too. I don't remember exactly what age, but I was.
Yeah, I think it was 9.
I mean, it's so young that I don't remember.
Billy Bob's.
Someone had to tell me how old I was when I first shot a gun. You know, I mean, it was just ingrained in you in Mississippi, out living, out in the country. So I mean, but just to get them out there, and as a dad, you definitely want to get them off those.
Yeah.
Because they're going to be on it. It's the babysitter when you're, you know, if you have a if you want to have something to eat,
Yeah,
just
or a long car ride or something. I get it, but
totally fine.
Yeah.
But hey, let's keep them off as much as we can, especially during the summer.
For sure.
Yeah.
Be a kid.
For sure.
Do fun stuff like we did.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about humility, because you kind of alluded towards it a little bit with, you have good years, and then maybe we all have the good years, we all have the bad year kind of thing. And to bring up Art again, right? He came on the last episode, and I hope everyone got a chance to listen to that last tournament talk, because I thought it was a really important one. And I didn't really bring this up on that show, but you're talking about a guy, Art, who we have done nothing but praise on this show, like probably more than people are like, okay,
Art's
we get
on
it,
again.
we get it, Art's good.
I know they're probably saying about me,
yeah.
like, oh, Chris is on again, whatever.
Right. So it's like, but he comes on and he talks about his woes during marlin fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And how
it's a whole
much
different
of a
ball
different game it was, and how he didn't do so good. But he was on here, and he was completely open and honest about all of it, which I thought that was impressive.
Yep.
Because here's a guy that we've done nothing but praise on this show in the local area. Everyone knows Art as, being the, one of the top dogs, but he laid it all out, man. And he was just like, nope, missed that, should have had that, I did that wrong, I did this right, I did that wrong, and he was completely an open book about it. And I got nothing but the greatest respect for guys that are like that, like truly,
For sure.
That can just open up and just admit that, that wasn't my day, that wasn't my season, that I did this wrong, I could have done that better, and and I think the world needs a little bit more than that.
Yeah, Art's always been like that, though, man. When he gets into a new fishery, it is like 10,000% in.
Yeah.
I remember when Art, all he did was fish meat fish tournaments. He fished sailfish a little bit here and there. He had his conch, no T-top, no nothing. Started sailfishing a little.
I remember him and his dad were wearing those straw hats.
They would sailfish a little bit here and there, but they weren't like in it. But I remember, I think it was like Miami billfish, back when the Miami billfish, he fished it and did fairly well. And I think that was like, Art was used to doing very well in tournaments, not doing okay.
Yeah.
And I think that bothers him. Like him not doing okay in these tournaments is you better watch out. Art's gonna figure it out.
I'm telling you.
He's a master at figuring it out.
We always say like the real podcast happens after the show.
Yeah.
When like everyone's already got all that, stuffiness out of them, and then they just let loose because they know that no one's recording. But he's got his eyes on next marlin season. Already.
Yeah,
it's
I heard
almost like he's looking past everything else right now.
I was kind of looking through the stats of all the tournaments, and I was like, okay, I see it, and I knew that's all that did is poured fuel in that fire.
Because he had opportunities.
Oh yeah, that's what bothered him the most.
Yeah.
Correct, and they whiffed the opportunities, which bothered him worse than if he didn't have the shots.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
we talked about on one of our shows. I had George Pavaromo and Captain Harry Vernon in here, and they're going to be coming back in a couple of weeks because they want to. We just had a lot of fun.
Cool.
But we talked about the one that got away, and how we all have that one that got away.
Yeah.
What's yours?
So I was young. I was probably 16, and my mom's boyfriend at the time. I fished a ton with him, whatever, and it was like 9:30 in the morning. We fished the day before, and he's like, "Hey, my brother's up at Peanut Island. Let's just go to Peanut Island. We'll just troll up there." So we're like, we'll just go kind of do a pretty fast wahoo troll, take the north tide up, whatever. Put him out. We got literally 20 minutes into it, got just north of Boyne Inlet, and the bent butt rod with the lead on it just starts
really
dumping.
The big one.
Yeah, and I was up in the tower driving the boat. So I was like 16, and I was up in the tower driving the boat. And he's like, slow down. I'm like, I'm pretty slow. I don't want to stop because when you're trolling, and thing's just going and going and going. He's like, come down here. So finally the thing slows down. We crank and crank and crank. We're like, what the heck? And we didn't have like the big gaff on the boat. I don't know why, for some reason he took the longer gaff off the boat. So we had this like little 4-foot gaff instead of like the 6 or 8 foot.
That's what happened with my Mahi.
So I'm like, we had this like 4-foot thing, and I remember I'm like,
a little
really?
silver Walgreens version.
It was just what we used back when we were young. It was a silver. There was silver one with the stainless hook on it. Nothing that's carbon fiber gaffs and nice Gaffco lighter gaffs. No, they're aluminum
they sell
pole.
Like Kmart down in Marathon Key. Right?
It was nothing. So we were pulling and cranking, and I grabbed the leader. And I'm like, God, I mean, it was like dead weight on there. So I'm like slowly, and this is what back then we used like heavy stuff. I look back at it now, I'm like, how do we even get bites? But the fishing was better back then. We used like 200 pound, like the stuff we used for high speed trolling out front.
Yeah,
which if
like
you use that out front now,
Senators with like
this
clips.
was on like an old 50 wide international, but
use
still
those little snap swivel clip, the big fat heavy ones.
It's just like you're like, how the heck did we even catch anything?
Right.
So I'm pulling on this thing. I look back, and I am not kidding you. To this day, I remember this wahoo had to be over 100 all day long. Like, it was, to this day, it was the biggest wahoo I've ever seen with my own two eyes. And it was bigger than that, made that one that Meekly and I caught, that 86-pounder in the Slam a couple years ago. Made that one even look like not small, but it was big. I mean, the thing was that big around and probably 7 foot long. And I see
wahoo get that big, they lose their skinny.
Yeah.
Like, they get those big fat backs.
Absolute giant. And I see it back there, and I almost thought, like, half for a minute, I thought it was like a white or marlin or something. It was that big. It was huge. So I'm, like, pulling, and the thing's, like, doing the head shake. And when the head shakes, my whole arm's about to pull out of socket. So I'm, like, pulling. And we get him there, and I'm starting to get him up on the surface, and he does that one last head shake.
Oh, no.
And bites. We had like number 9 or number 10 wire, and just bit through the wire right there. And I just remember him watching him go down in the thing. And we literally looked at each other, never said a word, wrapped up the leader, put all the rods away, and just ran up there because we were like, who cares? After that, you're not going to hook another. We didn't even care. It was a heart, and that was like 16, and I still remember that like it was yesterday. Like thinking, I wish we would still catch that thing. It was so crazy.
Oh, I'm telling you, because I talked about my Mahi. That was like a big one.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't over 100, but it was like, I can't remember, 65, like at least.
Yeah.
It was like one of those, looks like a long sailfish, like one of those huge ones.
Yeah.
And that's, and
it haunts you.
What you just said was just like, there was silence. Like, what are you going to say?
You don't say nothing. You just,
you can't even, when it cuts you that deep, like, you don't even curse.
Speechless.
You're just like, and you start like looking within yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. You understand what the inside of your chest looks like. You just really just like deep inside. Yeah.
And I can still remember to this day. We were fishing a blue and white islander, like the big blue and white islander, and the lure was gone down the hatch. Like, I never saw it. Like, it was down the hatch. So for a wahoo to swallow one of those big islanders and it not be anywhere but down his throat.
Must have been chafing that wire.
Yeah, he probably just kinked it when he did that last head shake, and just kinked it and broke it, and he was gone. He's probably now 150 pounds. I don't know.
My buddy next door caught one like that last year, wahoo like that, when they cut him open, a blackfin like this big came out of the belly.
Really?
Yeah, those things eat anything they want.
You want to know the truth, Chris? I really feel you were 16.
Yeah.
Right now, there's a 230-pound wahoo out there with wire in his mouth.
Oh, 100%. That thing still there's an island, a blue and white islander.
I was about to say
the next charter.
Oh no, I want to catch him in the next tournament. I need to catch that one in the showdown.
230.
Yeah.
By now he's got to be 230.
Giant zebra.
God, man.
All right, let's.
That's all right. The sharks will probably eat him anyways.
Yeah, they'll get him. All right, let's see who's going to win a T-shirt. All right, I'm not even going to segue this about that being strange because I don't want to break your heart again all over.
That was strange.
Let's see what kind of questions we got. I'm going to pull up my phone.
Let me take
here.
a drink for this because I don't know who you asked to get questions from.
All right,
it's crowdsourced.
And I don't have my glasses on today. So.
All right.
So let's see here. All right.
Getting old.
I am.
You could be
old.
reading you and Liz's messages right now.
Hey, baby, what do you want for dinner? No. All right, our first one comes from, wouldn't you know it, Captain Art Sapp. He says, Chris, how often do you get marital advice on a random dock in the Bahamas?
Marital advice on a random dock in the Bahamas.
I figured it's an inside joke.
No, I don't know. I don't think I've been to the Bahamas with Art and got marital advice, but I don't know where he's going with that one.
You don't know where he's going with that one?
I mean, there's a lot of guys that get drunk in the Bahamas, so I'm sure you hit I love you, mans, and, get a lot of marital advice because that's pretty much what you do. You fish all day and you drink all night.
I got to grab my glasses.
That's the truth, though.
I'm getting old. Right. All right.
I wouldn't. I don't think that's an inside joke.
Now the thing is, I can call.
And I haven't been to the Bahamas.
You know how to work the Bluetooth on that thing? There is Bluetooth. I can call on Bluetooth.
I think we'd have to set it up.
We'll set it. We're going to skip Art's question.
I unfortunately haven't been to the Bahamas because of all this COVID stuff. It's been too much of a pain to go over there. So, no marital advice.
And no marital.
And none needed.
None needed. All right. No problem. How often do you get marital advice on a random dock in the Bahamas?
Every time, every night, because you're.
I thought when he threw that in,
yeah,
I'm like, ooh, that's a good one, but I guess not. All right, so I texted Squeegee.
Oh God.
And I said, "Give me a strange question for Lemieux," and he goes, "Ooh, my brother from another mother." And all right, so he's got two for you.
Oh gosh.
Said, would he rather fight a fire? Really, Squeegee? I think this is the obvious answer. Would you rather fight a fire or a 50-pound kingfish?
50-pound. Well, 50-pound kingfish. Well, is it in a tournament or not?
Non-tournament.
That is not a stipulation.
All right, we'll go 50-pound kingfish.
All right. You like fighting fires?
I actually do.
Do you really?
Yeah.
All right.
Feel bad for the people that own the houses and stuff, obviously, but like I do.
For those of you that don't know, that Chris is a firefighter. For someone who hasn't watched this show before or listened to this show before, so you do like fighting fires. I tell you, my dad was a firefighter in Jersey City.
You did
back in the 60s.
It's awesome.
Right? Yeah. All right. Or what's your secret for catching big mahi?
Big baits.
Big baits. It's a good answer.
Big baits.
Big baits, big fish.
That's
Good
it.
answer.
You
like skirting your ballyhoos, or
I don't like a lot. I don't fish a lot of ballyhoos.
You don't fish a lot of.
I'm not a huge ballyhoo guy.
Full lure for mahis.
Nope, strip. I'm
Full
a strip
strips.
guy because I'm the only reason I'm trolling for a dolphin is because I'm looking for the school or looking for a big one to pitch at. I'm not really trolling just to troll, like trolling for them. I'm trolling just to find them and just to cover ground. If the area looks good.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, in a school, I even do this on charters all the time. I always keep one spinning rod with a 7.0 or a bigger hook, and everybody's out there pitching pilchards. I always take a goggle eye.
Do you ever drop down for mahi below a school?
I have. If you're not
I've
always,
done that a few times. I've never been successful on it.
Yeah, some people say do it.
Some people say there's
no.
always like a big bull
I don't
cow
know.
hanging out.
I've never. Yeah, usually the only one thing I say, if you're on a school of small fish and there's big fish have been around, I'll just sit there and literally chum the small fish for 15, 20, 30, 40 minutes sometimes, and all of a sudden some 20, 30 pounder will come cruising and come checking it out finally,
So they're just basically hanging out on the outskirts.
Correct, and that's why a lot of times I'll cast the goggle eye out. Everybody's casting pilchards because they're so excited they're schoolies, but I, either tail hook a goggle eye and just cast it as far as you can and just leave the bail open.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you'll look over and lines peeling off of it. And, nowadays the biggest ones in school is like 8 or 10 pounds. But back in the day it used to be like 20, 25. And you'd be like, that was the one that would always caught them,
Yeah. I used to hear a lot of guys say, oh, you get the big bull underneath the schools if you drop down. And they'll drop a livey down. I never really convert on that. Yeah.
Yep, same.
So, all right, cool. Let me see here. All right, so we got some on Facebook here too, so let's look that up. All right, and we are going to say more for Chris Lemieux. And, all right, we got a bunch here on
Alan
Facebook.
was the mahi slayer back in the day with his dad. Him and his dad used to fish all of Jamie Bunn's tournaments, and that's all they did is dolphin fish. They'd come in with pretty much win the mahi stuff every time.
Alan's dad is a firework nut. You know this?
No.
So, all right. So Nicole turned 21.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And we all went over to the house, to Bernard's house, just to see her off. She got a bus. They're going to go to the Hard Rock. And
oh, God.
Us old guys are just like seeing her off like prom or whatever. The squeegee's on there on the bus and everything. Like so.
Trouble.
Yeah, but Alan's dad is there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're all hanging out after they leave, and we're eating the rest of the Jello shots that they didn't
the kids
do before that they left behind, right? So we're just like, oh, we'll just finish these off. Okay, so she's, oh, you're here. Oh, this is great, right? Still working. Isn't she the best? Still working.
She's full
it's
of
almost
it.
like she's
you
employee
should come
of
on
the
the
month.
show. You should put the headphones on. So,
since it was your 21st birthday.
Yeah, Alan did cause trouble, so I'm just here.
Shocker.
Oh, he did?
Shocker.
Oh, you should put the headphones on then.
That's for another podcast.
Is there headphones over here? So anyway, right? Alan's dad is like, "Oh, I brought a little one with me," and we're like, "What?" He's like, "I brought a little one with me. You want to set it off?" Because the whole time while they're jumping on the bus, he's throwing like those little whippersnappers, but for him they're like firework grade whippersnappers. So they're like really like psh, like really really loud to the point where the guy that owns the bus is like, "Dude, you got to stop doing that." Like it was like really bad. Right? So he starts like lighting off like the big
mortars and all that.
Yeah, it's like shaking windows. Like this is after you guys left, right?
Yeah.
Right? You gotta go sit over there with Chris.
You need
Right? Sit
a
over
chair
there
here.
with Chris.
Oh, thank you.
Right? So don't knock that tripod. So hi Nicole.
Hi.
I didn't realize you were still here. So
Sorry.
Nicole, by the way, is our employee of the month every month, and so she just turned 21.
Isn't she your only employee?
Yes, she's an only employee.
Cool.
That's not the point.
Right, it's not quite.
Easy task to.
So tighten up in there so you're in frame. So, all right, so anyway, so Alan's dad's lighting off. He apparently, so he starts showing me all these videos of all these big fireworks that he gets going off every 4th of July. It's like his thing, right? So you tell me he's like the big Mahi guy. He's also like the big fireworks guy. Tell me what happened with Squeegee on your birthday.
Well, we're on our way to Las Olas, and we're all just like, the music's going, and we're having fun. And next thing I hear is a bunch of firecrackers going off. Alan brought a hand scoop of them, the ones that we were throwing on the streets
really?
before we left, just throwing them in the bus.
So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
I was like, Alan, please stop. We're going to get kicked out. So it was fun, though. But I went to Alan's house the other day, and Alan's dad's like, you got to come look in the garage. And I'm like, okay. Fireworks everywhere.
He's getting ready.
Yeah.
The 4th of July is approaching fast.
Yep.
Are you going to go over there?
Yep.
All right, I'll be there.
There's a guy at the fire station I work with. Same thing. He spends like almost $4,000 a year, but he has like buys it from this professional company.
Yeah.
And buys like pallets full and
Yeah,
has them
that's
delivered.
what he does.
Yeah.
Buys
That's
it
what he
and
does.
has them
That's what he
delivered
does.
to his house and has like this whole thing set up with like on his computer and presses buttons and like crazy.
Yeah,
like,
they got all these fancy names like
yeah.
Carolina Rattlesnake
Oh,
of
yeah.
Death or
Yeah.
whatever these things are called.
It's
Yeah.
wild. I'm like,
Yeah.
people spend this much money. I couldn't imagine spending $3,000 or $4,000 on fireworks.
For a half an hour worth of fun.
Yeah.
I get mad when I spend $50 for my kids.
Oh, at the
Yeah.
ones in Publix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which are just all completely like
It's like
watered down.
my kids, the fountains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like 7 and 10. They think it's
Yeah.
like the best thing ever. Like, oh, you spent $50.
You better not take them over there and be like, that's cheap.
Yeah, it's weird. In
Yeah.
Florida, you got to
Yeah.
go
I'm
to
gonna blow
like
my
the
cover.
legit place, you
Yeah.
know, and they give them your ID and all this stuff.
Yeah.
In Texas, you're just like they hand them out to you.
I'll take 3 pallets, please.
Yeah,
Yeah. This
No,
this
man.
guy has like
That's a good
pallets
point.
delivered.
I'm not going to take them there. Because right now they think I'm the king because I buy
With
the
your
50. I
sparklers?
buy the $50 pack from Publix.
Yeah, they're like, Dad's the man.
fountains.
Yeah.
Yeah, no sparklers.
You better
came
not bring him to
Worms.
Alan's house. So you're like, geez, Dad.
Yeah.
I walked in the office the other day, and Dennis has those little packs of sparklers.
Mm-hmm.
He FaceTimes his kids. Guess what we're doing tonight? Sparklers.
Oh, my God.
Oh, they were so happy though.
They were really happy.
Yeah. So, all right.
Got
All
to
right.
start them somewhere.
So, all right, our next question. Mr. Michael Andrus. Ask about his last lost rod and reel.
Oh, man. That's actually a good one. So, Brad that fishes with Michael a lot. Brad was actually my first legitimate charter probably 13, 14 years ago on my boat. And actually it was my other boat. It was when I was kind of fading out of commercial fishing and kind of starting to get into charters. And his sister was working at the fire department, and she's like, hey, I want to buy him a charter for his birthday. So he came out with me. He caught his first 2 sailfish. We caught like a 52-pound kingfish, all this stuff.
Really?
Yeah. But he's been fishing for years, the moral of the story. Well, and he's really good. I love having him on the boat. Just one of those guys that's calm, cool, collected, like whatever. So we had a little...
Michael?
No, not Michael. Brad. Brad, we were fishing, and we had this little flurry of tuna and bonitas going. And we were fishing a sea anchor, and we were trying to pull the sea anchor in and go around it. And I don't know what happened, but he just like opened his hand and the fish took off and the rod went boom, right in the water and the spinning rod just took off.
No.
And I just look at him.
When did this happen?
This happened like a month ago. Not
really?
Even a month and a half ago. And Mike was on the boat and I was like, well, there goes that one. And I usually try to jump in if a rod goes in, but this thing was like a rocket. There was a tuner bonito on it, so the thing shot off at like 100 miles an hour. So
that might want to be a little stiff right there.
Well, that's all right. So the rod and reel's gone. Brad is so mad beyond. I mean, you can't even console him at this point. He like punches the console. I'm like, you better watch out. This thing's not a sea fox. This thing's a conch. You'll hurt yourself punching this boat. Yeah. And he did. He actually hurt his wrist, and he was so mad. I'm like, Brad, don't worry about it. It's just a rod and reel. He's like, He's like, he was very upset. But yeah, we lost a rod and reel. It was like a nice spinning reel and
it
rod.
It was yours?
Yeah. Yeah.
A Finor?
Yeah. Finor spinner and a custom rod, but it was gone.
Who's your custom rod builder?
Poseidon.
Oh, that's
who
right,
I've been
Poseidon.
using. Yeah, those guys are great. They're up in West Palm. They're building actually a lot of guys like Tim Maddox had his rod built there.
Yep.
Thank you.
A lot of guys. So, yeah, they're good rod builders. But, yeah, so I had to go have another one built.
Yeah, nice.
Whatever.
Well, I mean, hey, did you get a good tip?
Actually, so he wanted to pay for it. I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. Like, the guy's been my, you know what I mean, my charter, like, forever. He's at this point, he's like a friend, you know?
Yeah.
I was like,
that's the thing about what we do.
Yeah.
Right? That's a funny thing. I'm glad you brought that up because it's like everybody I do business with, it's like it's because we're all into the same stuff. It's like you just become friends with them.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. It's like you got to navigate that.
Yeah.
Right? Nicole gets mad at me sometimes. It's like, you're too tight with that dude. You got to do business with him.
Stop giving away free things.
Yeah, right.
So, well, Brad's a painter at the end of the day, and I have this efficiency that I rent out, and I needed it painted. And I called him. I'm like, hey, I know you probably won't charge me. He's like, I'm painting your efficiency. Don't say anything about it. It's for the rod and reel. I'm like, all right, whatever. So he actually just this past Saturday painted the efficiency for me for losing the rod and reel. So it worked out. Right, we're fine. Cool. I'm fine with it. He's fine with it as long as he feels like he paid his debt off. But we lost it. It was gone.
All right. So our next question, we're gonna skip right over. I'm gonna read this question, but then we're gonna skip right past it. Just because I know my buddy Ken's going to appreciate that I asked it. He goes, how's your brother Mario doing? So we're going to skip right past that one. So,
he's retired from hockey.
You know Caitlin Muller?
Yeah.
Okay. She says, what's your favorite gas station drink and snack combo?
Gas station drink? I don't really drink. I drink water.
Okay, and what?
But I will drink. I will eat some sour worms from a gas station.
Sour worms.
Yeah.
All right, there you go, Caitlin. Sour worms and water. That sounds tasty. At what point do you consider the water too rough to fish? She wants to know.
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a good question. With charters or tournaments? That's the other question for me.
That's all Caitlin asked.
All right. Well, for charters, depending on my customer, if I know them very well, like at this point I have a lot of regulars. If I know they're pretty tough, I'll go out in 3 to 5, 4 to 6.
Mm-hmm.
If not, 2 to 4, 3 to 5. You know, I'm not trying to create a bad experience. I want people to come back fishing.
Right.
You know, you take this family from Wisconsin out that never been in the ocean in 3 to 5 foot seas. And then they're like, wow, that's not fun.
It's a long day.
And they're never going to come back. So I'd rather be honest with people. I'd rather have repeat customers. I'd rather have people have a good time and next year be like, oh, that's awesome. And then they tell their other neighbor from Wisconsin.
Yeah, you want the experience to be flawless for them and exciting. Yeah. And you find the out-of-staters will book full days more often than not?
Yeah, actually they
not
try.
Knowing what they're getting into.
So correct, they try a lot, and I'm probably too honest sometimes because I probably shoot myself in the foot in that aspect. Like, you know, people want to pay me for a full day, and I'm like, no, you don't want to do a full day. Like, from the time we leave the dock to the time we're fishing is like 15 minutes here. We don't, you know, people from the Northeast have that mentality. I'm going offshore fishing. I have to run an hour and a half, 2 hours offshore to get to where I'm going. Well, that doesn't happen here. You know what I mean? We're literally pop out the inlet. We're, you know, fishing and they're like, how are you a mile and a half off the beach catching sailfish, tunas, and mahis and kings and walleye? They're just like mind blown by it, you know? Yeah. They're like, this is it. I'm like, yeah, that's it. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Not being lazy. This is where we actually fish. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Set them up.
I mean, how many people could tell you stinkhole stories off Lighthouse Point of them crushing like insane amount of fish, literally right in front of the inlet? You know.
That's it. Sometimes you catch the big ones right here, right out front.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to give a shout out here, real quick, before I forget, to Nicole, who this past weekend in the Tuppence Marine Tournament, top kingfish, top lady angler.
Good job.
Thank you.
The Kingfish Slayer.
Yeah, we love kingfishing.
Everybody loves kingfishing.
Team Connected by Water was proud.
You know who's probably more proud than anybody? Your dad.
He was proud. He reposted the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
He posts pictures on Instagram before I get to.
Carlene asked if the Pilar bar was closed. Skip Dana says, does he like gravy on his fries and curds?
Yes. What French Canadian? She's part French Canadian.
Is it a Canadian thing?
Poutine.
Yeah, poutine.
What?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Florida.
Yeah, you need to go to Hollywood Beach. Yeah, but you go to Hollywood Beach and all the French Canadians are from there. You can eat a poutine original.
My roots are New Jersey.
I know.
And then Ireland.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a bad excuse
ago.
because you're closer to Canada and New Jersey.
Yeah, it's actually a bad excuse.
I'm not closer to anything. I was born and raised down here.
Poutine's good.
Closer
yes.
to Hollywood.
Fries, like gravy on his fries and curds. That's poutine.
My gosh!
Oh my
gosh! If you haven't been drinking all night long and eating a poutine at 3 in the morning, you have not lived life.
I'll bring some to work for you.
Best.
I'm not doubting that.
They fry French fries. Okay, right off the thing, double fry them.
Is that why they're called French fries?
I don't know. I guess they're they try to change them to freedom fries for a little bit. We got jokes now?
I guess.
It's a dad joke.
That's
a dad joke.
So they fry French fries. They put this like peppery brown gravy all over the fries, and they dump a bunch of cheese curds on them.
Yep.
And you can actually get it with like chicken in it and like smoked meat, which is big up in Canada.
Yeah, smoked meat.
Yep. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's about 10,000 calories.
I did not realize.
Yeah.
When we brought Nicole into the strange questions,
she's French Canadian.
I did not realize I was bringing the whole French Canadian, the French connection,
right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, the French.
Every time
name the episode, the French.
Every
connection.
time her brother calls me, and I answer
connection.
the phone, I say bonjour, and he goes, "Oh, bonjour."
His funny little accent.
Yeah. We always joke around.
Yeah.
Little French Canadians that don't speak French.
We import gravy from Canada so we can make it.
Yep. So. I smuggle maple syrup all the time. That's what my family does.
Gravy
you put it up your sleeve like Buddy the Elf?
Yeah, put it in the bags and like shove it in there. You know?
No thanks, I've got my own.
Right next to the border.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right next to the border.
All over spaghetti?
Yeah.
All right.
On everything.
Topher David asks, what is the airspeed velocity of an unladen swallow?
African or European?
I am not that smart.
Does that make any sense to you?
Zero sense
skip right over that one.
Monty Python.
Squeegee asks another question. He's supposed to be in class right now.
No, he's not. Is he in class?
That's what he said. Yeah.
Oh.
And he's like sending me all
Tell
these
him hey, I hope he's, man, we should text him right now. Get back to I'm going to make sure he doesn't get hired at the fire department now messing around.
How many glass minnow scales do you have in your hair? We're going to end our strange questions like that.
All right. Yeah, a lot. That's what I do every day.
A lot. All right, so we have to pick a winner. It's not going to be Art because he asked a question that made no sense to anybody. And we got the Skip Dana asked a really good question about the poutine.
I actually like Skip Dana's.
But he doesn't need a shirt.
That is true. He can come by and pick one up whenever he wants.
Yeah, he's got all these here. So
Michael Landers. Yeah,
Michael
that's
Landers
a good one.
will get the shirt.
All
right, Michael Landers, Mr. Ernest Hemingway Jr.
That's it.
We'll get the that ends our strange questions for the day. So
congratulations.
Congratulations. So okay, so where do we go from here? What is an unladen swallow?
That's from Monty Python movie.
Yeah, I'm not a movie guy.
One of the great things about having Justin in the room,
guy.
Yeah,
it's what I'm saying. One of the great things about Justin in the room is because he knows like the answer to all that random stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's just like know a bunch of.
And he'll just shake his head like this, like I don't know why I know this, but I do. right?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I feel pretty bad because I can't remember the name of the Monty Python movie, but everybody knows it. Every fifth grade.
You don't
boy.
have to feel bad because none of us know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
Yeah.
don't feel bad at all because I'm proud that you actually.
And then
know.
the answer is African or European. Wait, and then he dies.
We'll take your word for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take your word for it.
Yeah.
Too.
That's like that's what with Tommy Boy, right? I don't know what the inside of a bull's ass looks like.
Yeah.
I'll take your word for it. How's that go?
Yeah, but he messes it up the entire show.
Yeah, and he finally gets it right. So,
I can get a good look at the ass of the inside of a butcher.
Yeah, right. I'd rather take the butcher's word for it.
Those are classic movies. Tommy Boy.
So,
Chris Farley.
let me ask you something, Chris. And this comes from the heart, okay? So, you've made a life of fishing, right? And this is where my whole Connected by Water experience comes in, right? To the show. You've made a life of fishing. You're a firefighter, right? And you've seen the ups and downs of all of it, right? And people always say to veterans that thank you for your service and everything like that, and I'm going to say that to you too. That's really the truth because, my wife's always like, "How come all your friends are firefighters and police officers?" I'm like, I have no idea, but this is kind of how it is, right? But you don't always tell the public, what you see and everything like that, and I just want to say thank you for that, and I appreciate everything that you do, and keep the world from, keep the rest of us from. But you've made a life of fishing as well, right? And when you start to get a certain age and you start becoming established as you are, okay, what goes through your head as far as like longevity and legacy in this life, right? Because we all are now starting to carve out our little niche and way in this world of this Connected by Water world, right? And give me your insight on just life of fishing and what that means to you and what that means long term, and like give me your deepest, like most heartfelt thoughts.
Man,
on that.
That's deep. I don't know.
I wasn't going to let you get away easy.
I know, man. Wow. Well, that's got to think on that one. I don't know where I see myself going. I'm enjoying the charter thing now. I like where I'm at. I like that I've established like a clientele now it's not like going fishing anymore I do have new customers here and there, but a lot of times, like one of my customers I've been with for a while, he brought his wife and his sister-in-law the other night, and at the end of the trip, I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? They're like, nothing. I'm like, let's go grab drinks. So we just went over to Key Lime House on the boat and had drinks with them just like it was like friends, and it's not, I like that, you know what I mean? I pride myself on repeat customers. I'm not like, I'm not the charter boat that's just looking for the next charter. I'm the charter boat that's looking to fish with the same 50 group of people every year, and I kind of like that. Do I see myself doing it forever? It's a lot of day in and day out grind. I mean, everything in life that you're going to be successful at is anyways. Eventually, at some point, I see myself, finding a private operation, a little bit less of the day in and day out grind of like being on the water, beat myself up. You know what I mean?
It's hard to keep it up.
Yeah.
Like you really, because I'm sure you have to roll your eyes at the guys who are like, oh, I fish 300 days a year. It's
whatever.
It's a lot of physical toll on you.
Yeah.
It's a financial toll.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all of it, and
whether it's true or not, they might brag about it.
And anybody says, oh, there's, oh, you must make money. They see what a charter costs, but, at the end of the day, there's a lot. If I work for a private operation, I could probably make more than I do chartering. Yeah. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, but it's a lot of expense that people don't see, I tell people all the time, they're like, oh, I was like, I'm a part-time fisherman for sure and a full-time boat mechanic. I mean, that's what I do. My days off are fixing bilge pumps and this live well pump and this lights out. And because I have OCD like that, like I can't not, like if something's broken on my boat, I have problems with like issues with it, it bothers me. So I have to fix it. The other day, my afternoon off, I pulled the boat out of the water, had to pressure clean it, scrape some barnacles off, clean everything off, get ready, fill it with fuel for the week. That's my afternoon off, you know. People don't see that part. They just see like he's fishing every day, and, you know, they think, you know, whatever. Lately, the grass has been on the beach. I'm sure anybody that's been to the beach has seen the grass. My boat starts out spick and span clean, and by the time I throw the cast net the first time, there's 4,000 pounds of sargassum scraps everywhere, all over it. So
it's not messing that sweet wrap up, is it?
That she is beat up, but
really?
That's sailfish and gaff marks and everything else. I eventually will do it. Yeah, I know a guy.
Yeah, you know a guy.
But yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. Eventually I see myself moving on to the more private sector, I think of it. But I think now, for where I'm at my point in life with being still at the fire department, that I'm going to stay where I'm at, because it, you know, I have the luxury of being kind of flexible. You know, if I don't want to work a week in advance, I just go in the book and mark it out. Sorry, I'm booked, you know. But when you're for a private operation, you know, the guy's paying you, you know, to be full time. If he wants to go, you're kind of in his time, you know.
Yeah.
So, but at this point in my life, I think
We talked about that recently on the show too, how it's just a different life.
It is
on that side, and how it's like, you know, there's more of a hosting value. To it, and it's just a different world. Yeah. You know, a lot of people say that do what you love and you'll never work another day in your life. Yeah. Bullshit. Yep. Because I love what I do.
Absolutely.
Bust our asses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it becomes a job, unfortunately. Right. Yeah. You know, and everybody says that. I'm sure you don't enjoy painting. I mean, it's sad to say, but nothing, you know, but it's true. You don't enjoy painting like you used to, because
I'd love to paint,
but you don't get to as much as you want. Right. I mean, it's just different. I love to go like I love going tournament fishing with like the little crew of guys I have. Like when I fish with Jack and Alan and all those guys, it's awesome, because that to me is like getting back to like, I don't have to worry about anybody but myself. Yeah. Like those guys, all right, Alan, Jack, you're on this kite, you're on that kite, I'm on this flatline side in the back corner, and those guys are I don't have to worry about anybody. So that to me is bringing it back for me. But like charter fishing is different, you know, like we were just talking about a little bit ago, tying the hooks. You know, you're babysitting. I mean, you know, people don't realize that you're not. It's not that you're, you know, you're just sitting there, you know, making sure that they're having a good time, making sure that they're not hurting themselves. You're making sure they're not messing up the tackle. You always have things going through your head that you're worrying about. And it's just different kind of fishing, you know. Yeah. And some people don't have the patience for it. And, you know, I have guys commercial fishermen I knew that are phenomenal fishermen. They're like, how do you do it? I'm like, you just have to have patience, man. Like,
just like, you know, people, you know what I mean? And just understand, you have the perspective of what's happening. Because we get jobs like that, too, here, where it's like, okay, got to hold their hand through this entire process. Or it's, you know, some customers are more difficult than others. And how do you do that? Like, day in, day out, dealing with custom projects. Yeah. Where each project is different. As much as we try to, like, create this template of a model of a business, you're talking about different people when you do custom stuff, and people's expectations, they kind of sway from left to right. Yeah. And you try to navigate that as much as you can, and that's an art unto itself. Yep. Is managing the people that come in. For sure. Because no week is the same. Yeah. No week is the same. She can attest to this. Like, it's always like, okay, even though like the jobs are pretty much all similar, no week is the same. And sometimes that could be a good thing and a bad thing sometimes. But you're dealing with people. Yeah. Well, at the end of the day,
you're accustomed to me. There's a lot of marine artists out there, but to me, you're a custom marine artist. Just like there's a lot of charter boats out there, but I like try to. It's kind of more of a custom charter boat. I try to cater to the customers. Like, hey, what do you want to catch? I have these guys that charter me once every other month, and they have this. Him and his kids have this book of species they've never caught.
Like an explorer book?
I mean, it's crazy. Awesome. Everything. I mean, we've crossed snowy groupers off there. We've crossed tilefish off there. Oh, that's awesome. We've gone to the reef and literally taken hair hooks with chunks of shrimp just to catch species they've never seen on these little reefs that I know. And these guys write everything down.
What a thrill that is when they
So it's pretty correct. And one kid never caught a cobia. He's always wanted to catch cobia. I'm like, all right, now's the time of year. Let's go. We fished for cobia all day and finally caught one. It was like 30 pounds. The kid, I mean, it was just cool to check those. Like, so that's kind of like customize people's artwork for them, like how you did the Siren Run artwork. You know, I consider myself like that for a charter boat. I don't just go out there and just, all right, let's pull planers in front of the inlet in circles until we catch something and then send them on their merry way. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your business. You know what I mean? I like doing that stuff. It's a little bit of a challenge for me. You know, like last.
It's exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And like last Saturday, the guy's like, I don't want to come from the West Coast unless I want to catch a Mahi. I'm like, well, I can't. Listen, at the end of the day.
Can't ultimatum you like that,
Yeah, I kind of told him, I'm like, listen, I consider myself to be pretty consistent, and you know, but I can't guarantee you. He's like, well, you know what I mean. I'm like, well.
You meant what you said. That's what you mean.
You said it, you know what I mean? I can't guarantee anything.
Can't wave the magic Mahi wand.
I'll take luck over skill any day. We went out there and we caught a pile of them. Were they big? Nope. But they were green and they had blue and they had the prettiness and they jumped, and that's all I cared about. I was like, phew.
The blue's
I texted my wife like halfway through the trip. I'm like, I found them. And I texted her a picture of my shirt. It just looked like death. You know how they bleed everywhere?
Yeah.
And, So, yeah. You know, we all have our niches and we all have our little things in your custom artwork, and I consider myself a little bit more of a custom charter boat. Just like Art, kind of Art is with his charter boat too. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people go with Art to just kite fish, and a lot of people go with me to kite fish. You know, a lot of the average charter boats don't really kite fish regularly, and that's kind of what we do.
Well, I'm going to charter you to take my son Sean out to catch his first Mahi.
Let's do it.
You better. No, I'm just kidding. God. No, but I am going to do that.
All right, let's do it.
For sure, because he's been bugging me about it.
That'd be a
it's
blast.
The summer, so take him out.
Now's the time.
We've taken him out. I mean, he's caught plenty of bass, and Art took him out on the Island Rover, and we like went off the reef, and he caught red snappers and triggers and stuff like that. But now he's.
I saw this picture. It's cool.
Yeah, so now I went down this week Mahi fishing, and he's mad at me. I didn't take him with me.
Yeah. How old is he now?
He's 7.
Oh, cool.
He'll be 8. He'll actually be 8. By the time this airs, he'll be 8 in like a week.
That's cool.
Yeah. So, it'd be cool. Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. So, I want to say that if anyone would like to charter you, they can get you at on Instagram at Lemieux Charters.
Yeah, it's Captain Chris Lemieux.
Captain Chris.
At the Captain Chris Lemieux, but your email is
Lemieux Fishing Charters
at gmail.com.
At yahoo.com.
Is that yahoo.com?
Yeah.
Listen, it's the end of the podcast, and like there's a couple in me.
Pilar and whatever.
You know?
So, that.
I was close.
You were pretty close.
He was there to correct me, and I knew he would be. Catch me. It's a
Facebook, all the platforms.
Trust fall.
People keep telling me you should do YouTube videos. I'm like, I don't have time for that. That's a whole other world in itself.
People say it to me. Oh, you do, like, what do you think I'm doing?
Yeah,
this is my YouTube shows.
Yeah,
like,
I can't even. I have a hard time starting a computer without getting mad. I couldn't imagine sitting there editing a video for 2 hours. But
Justin will do my YouTube videos for me.
Justin's probably good at it.
He's very good at it.
Yeah,
we're learning.
We're learning.
Learn every day.
Right.
Keep learning every day in everything you do.
Right on.
Yep.
Are we good?
Living good.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Nicole, you have any nice parting words for our viewers and listeners?
No, I'm good.
No, you're good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, she's $1,600 richer from her.
Tell me about your tournament. What happened? Give me some details before we leave.
Well, we started in Jupiter,
Mm-hmm.
and then we caught a bunch of small kings, and then we decided to keep going a little bit north, and we caught that first 25-pounder. And then we were considering just restarting the drift, or like start a little bit north at another wreck, and then we decided to go a little bit north up to Stewart, dropped on another wreck, started our drift with the kites, and then caught the same exact fish. Both 25.8 pounds.
Oh, that's right. They weighed 2 kings, 25.8 each.
Yep. Well, because in those small fishing tournaments, one fish only qualifies for one Calcutta. Like, you can't use the same fish for a different Calcutta.
Kind of annoying.
Yeah.
But kind of cool.
Kind of cool. It gives everybody, it gives everybody the opportunity, kind of like we do in the firefighters. You can't win first and third kingfish. You know, you can only win one category, which is good. Kind of gives everybody the opportunity to go home with something more than just one guy that crushed it winning, the whole thing. So.
Yeah.
Are we going to be doing the 2022 Boynton Beach Firefighters?
99.9%. I'm not going to say 100%, but yes.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
We're planning on it.
I know a guy who could do your artwork.
I do too, and he's been doing it for a very long time.
Just to let you know. FYI.
I know someone who can fish it.
Right.
Yeah.
She'll fish it. So the Connected by Water team.
There you go.
Me, Alan, and Jack.
Right,
If Jack's
Squeegee,
home, then.
Connected by Water team.
Yeah. No, but if Alan's hired at the fire department by then, he has to help me at the weigh-in.
Yeah. So what hours do you work at the fire department?
24 on, 48 off.
See, he knows.
Oh, I think Alan's told me that before.
Alan will be a rook then, right? So then.
Yeah, he has no choice.
So he'll be washing.
He'll be like flipping burgers
Yes.
at the fishing tournament.
Yeah.
Like chili cook-off part.
He'll be the DJ.
You know, I will say every time I go to Alan's house, he's either sleeping or studying
Well, that's good.
Or dyeing his mustache.
or eating cookies. His mom makes some killer cookies.
Right. So I will just say, when you call Connected by Water for a custom project, and Nicole picks up the phone, she knows fishing. She could talk fishing with the best of them. So don't hold back.
Oh, thanks.
Let her rip. All right. She'll know exactly how to take care of you and get you outfitted. So
I called today and I said,
job.
"Hey, is this Nicole?" She goes, "Who is this?" I'm like, "Geez, somebody's taught her professionalism here." I'm like,
Right.
"Geez,
I knew
Nicole."
you were coming in.
When you're employee of the month, you can
God
do whatever
Did
you
you
want.
really?
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, fine, sweet. All right, we won't talk about these shirts I'm gonna get." Miss Attitude.
That's the name of the new boat, Miss
I guess when
Attitude.
you're the only employee here
Right?
other than you and your wife, it's easy.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Who you can compare yourself to.
She's got the thing, the certificate over her
Yeah, I
desk.
printed it out.
She designed it and printed it herself.
Do you print
Employee
a
of the
new one?
month
Yep.
every month.
Do you print a new one every month?
No.
or-
No, it's a standard.
What does
We
it
don't
say?
change it.
Something
Says January
Professional
through
fish
December.
thrower.
professional fish thrower.
We
I'll
get
show
on
you the video.
Yeah, we get on the
after.
podcast before we show that
It's
around.
hilarious. So, all right, so cool. All right, listen, if you're in the market for a new truck or vehicle, right, I want you to go over and see our pals at Joey Cardi, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. They will get you outfitted and properly situated with your truck or Jeep or your Ram truck or your Jeep or your Cherokee. Go talk to Dean. And I don't know if it's true or not. I've heard rumors, though, that if you do go over there and say, the Connected by Water podcast sent me here, you might get a better deal than most people will. So,
I
please
believe
do
that.
Yeah, I think that might be true. So, all right, cool. And also, if you're thirsty, we've been drinking Papa's Pilar rum
Yes, we have.
on this episode and every episode. So, they remind you never to be a spectator, and we agree with that. Right? So don't go sitting around doing a bunch of nothing. Right?
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. All right. And we want to say that if you're hungry, go check out our Connected by Water sushi menu over at Papa's Raw Bar. And if you're in the neighborhood, head on down the street to the Bailey Arts District. Check out Papa Migo's. Get yourself a Takizi Sushi Taco. And we wanted to give a special shout out to Olakai and Maui Jim. We're very proud to be a part of those Ohanas. And also the ACR, right? They remind you that if you are heading offshore, you don't have an EPIRB on the boat, do yourself a favor, turn around, back in the inlet, grab one,
Yes.
and then head back out again.
100%.
Correct.
Stop it.
Don't
Papa
not
Migos,
ever go
then
up.
go back out.
Yes.
It is
Yeah.
actually
Grab
mandatory to
some
have an ACR EPIRB on my boat.
There you go.
And I wouldn't, even if I wasn't mandatory for a charter boat, guess what? It's a worth of $600 investment every single day.
Right.
Because I guarantee if you're out there floating around, you'll gladly give $600 to be found.
It's a drop in the ocean,
Yep, literally.
right? Of what normally would be your alternative. So, so they remind you
Swimming.
that's the science of survival.
Yeah.
Is what they tout that as, and we couldn't agree more.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you're in the market for any new apparel, right, head on over to connectedbywater.com and also shop.cvboats.com, where we designed the Friel collection for CV.
New
And
women's collection is out now?
The women's collection is out now. We just launched that a couple weeks ago. It is extremely successful, as Nicole knows, because we do all their fulfillment, and she's filling all those orders and getting all those out. So, cool. I think we checked all our boxes there today, didn't we? All right, cool. Captain
Awesome.
Chris Lemieux, thank you very much for coming to the show again once again.
Nope, thank you for having me. Always a
Yep.
pleasure, always a good time.
Right.
It was an
And,
honor.
Yeah, it was an honor.
Special guest appearance here.
I
but-
got to deal with this
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
every day.
After the treatment I got on the phone, now
Oh.
this.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It says your name.
Sits down next to me. Hey, buddy.
Hey, boss.
Hey,
Yeah.
buddy. Hey, friend.
She must want a raise or something when she says that.
Oh, she just got a raise.
See?
She did.
Canadian.
She's awesome.
Gosh.
All right, cool.
All
your
right.
ego. It's not your amigo.
Nope.
Always do your best and let God do the rest at the end of the day.
Yep.
And no matter what, don't ever forget what. No matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, we are all
Connected by water.
The other day, during a podcast, I said, he did that again. We're all great.
We're all great.